versus Georgia in the 2019 SEC Championship game. Georgia's coming into this game 11-1. The only loss was to South Carolina. LSU is coming into this game undefeated on the season at 12-0. And this is the most important conference championship game being played this weekend. The reason why is because this game has college football implications. A lot of people are not talking about what would happen if Georgia wins this game. If Georgia beats LSU, then the Big 12 championship game and the Pac-12 championship game don't really matter when it comes to terms of the college football playoff discussion, because if Georgia wins and beats LSU, they're in. And if LSU loses, they're already in because they played the toughest strength of schedule in all of college football. So if Georgia wins, then it's really no case for Oklahoma or Utah to get in because Georgia will already clinch their spot. Now, if Georgia loses this game versus LSU, then that's when you have the debate who gets in, Utah or Oklahoma, or if Baylor beats Oklahoma, whatever the case is. You open up a whole wide range of scenarios if LSU is able to beat Georgia. Now, a lot of people are not really giving Georgia a legit chance to win this game. I think this game is pretty much 50-50. Either one of these teams can end up winning this game. Now, big reason why a lot of people aren't really giving Georgia a fair shot of winning this game is because a lot of people don't trust Georgia's offense. And I can understand that to a degree because Georgia's offense has been lethargic all throughout the season. Against Florida, they were unstoppable on third down. The offense looked very great. And against some games like South Carolina, Kentucky, pending the field conditions in that Kentucky game, has struggled. So the Georgia offense has constantly been up and down this season. But when you look at this LSU defense, this is an LSU defense that, although they blew out Texas A&M, Texas A&M offense hasn't really been that good. But other than that, LSU's defense hasn't really been all that impressive. So if there is a game that Georgia could have for absolute offensive explosion and surprise the whole entire world, it's this game. And Georgia's defense is good enough that Georgia's defense is going to be able to keep them in this game. And the last time LSU played elite defense, which was Auburn, Auburn held this LSU offense to the season low in points and yards. And LSU's offense kind of struggled against Auburn. And Auburn really could have won that game. The difference between that game was the inexperience that we seen in Bo Nix and the turnovers in that game and Auburn's inability to sustain drives on the offensive side of the ball. Now, you got a better quarterback for Georgia than Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm, to win this game for Georgia, he's going to have to be able to make some throws. You also have the ability to run the ball because LSU's run defense over the last 3 games has not been good. Over the last 3 games, LSU has allowed 196 rushing yards per game during the last 3 game stretch of the season, which in most people's eyes, you can just go ahead and round that and say nearly 200 yards LSU is allowing on the ground. So when you look at LSU's defense has not really been that good. And Georgia's ability to run the football gives Georgia a legit chance to win this game. Now, LSU, on the other hand, we know LSU, they can score points with the rest of them, okay? I mean, look, we know LSU is going to be able to score points in this game. It doesn't matter how good this Georgia defense is. Doesn't matter how good Georgia is at stopping the run. Doesn't matter how good Georgia is at stopping the pass. Doesn't matter how good Georgia's defense is at creating turnovers. Look, LSU's offense is going to get theirs. They're going to get theirs regardless. So, when we look at this game, I think a big factor in this game is going to be Georgia's ability to run the football and get pressure on Joe Burrow. Because if you're able to get pressure on Joe Burrow, this LSU offense kind of halts. Because this LSU offense is based on big plays in the passing game. And when you go back to that Auburn game, the reason why Auburn, despite how lackluster they were on offense, was able to hang around in that game and compete with LSU to the very end was because their defense, with their front 5, their defensive line, was able to get pressure on Joe Burrow and force Joe Burrow to get the ball out quick and fast. And that's the key to being LSU. That's the key to beating a team like Alabama. You have to get pressure on the opposing team's quarterbacks, and you got to force them to get the ball out quick and not allow those deep passing routes down the field to develop. That's why Auburn was surprisingly able to hang with LSU. Georgia has to take that similar approach to this LSU game, to this SEC championship game. Now, LSU, their offense is explosive. We know that. But their defense has not been as good as it has been in the past. Now, their secondary is really good. You got Grant Delpit. You got a whole bunch of good guys in that secondary that's going to be playing in the NFL in a couple of years or even next season. So, if you're Georgia, the big thing for Georgia going into this game is how much production can they get out of this wide receiving core in the passing game? Because this is a wide receiving core that has been banged up. I think they already without one of the wide receivers. He got into an altercation with a Georgia Tech player last week, so he's going to be missing one half of this SEC championship game. That's going to be big. So Georgia has to find out ways to have some production in the passing game. And they just can't all rely on the whole entire running game, because eventually you're going to have to be able to make some throws if you're Jake Fromm and be able to win this game. Now, positive about Jake Fromm, although Jake Fromm has been up and down this season, Jake Fromm has been really good at throwing the ball outside the numbers when it comes to sideline throws and whatnot. So Jake Fromm is a very solid quarterback. He's a good enough quarterback that he should be able to help this Georgia offense be able to compete and put up points against LSU and a defense that hasn't really been that good. And the reason why I think Georgia's offense can explode in this game is because I go back and look at that Iron Bowl game last week. Auburn's offense has been pathetic the whole entire season. And against Alabama, against that defense that hasn't really been that good, they had an offensive explosion. Now, given the defense had 2 key interceptions, a couple of them got returned for a touchdown and put Auburn in kill field position. Georgia has to be able to force turnovers in this game. And that goes to my keys to victory. What both of these teams to be able to do to win this game. Georgia has to be able to get pressure on Joe Burrow. You cannot allow Joe Burrow to have time to sit back there in the pocket all day and throw the football. Auburn was able to compete with LSU for most of that game because of how good they were getting pressure on Joe Burrow. He didn't have time to sit back in the pocket and let those deep vertical pass routes down the field develop. The next thing Georgia has to be able to do is they have to be able to control the time possession. Now, if Georgia, when you look at this LSU defense, this is an LSU defense that has allowed 196 rushing yards over the last 3 games. That's something that Georgia needs to circle. Because if Georgia's able to run the football and control the time possession, and they're able to get stops on defense, then they have a good chance of winning this game. Because this LSU defense, they're going to get tired. They're going to get gassed. They're going to get tired, especially quicker than other teams, because of how fast and how quick they score and of how fast-paced tempo of offense that they've been running this season. Then you look at the defense, how lackluster the defense has been for LSU. Georgia can come into this game with the best offensive line, the biggest offensive line, the best offensive line in the SEC, and easily impose the will on LSU, run the football, and control time possession. It can happen. Because you got to look at this LSU defense. This is an LSU defense that has struggled. Don't count the Texas A&M game, because Texas A&M's offense has not been good. So get over that, okay? Look at Ole Miss. Look at Alabama. And look at Georgia. Georgia's a better team than Texas A&M. Texas A&M has a couple of athletes, but they're not Georgia. Georgia has the best offensive line in football. Georgia has Jay Fromm, who's going to be an NFL quarterback. So, Georgia also has Devontae Swift. And Georgia can run the football. And LSU has struggled stopping the run. So when you're looking at Georgia, they're able to run the ball and control time possession. They keep LSU's offense off the field. And all they need is a couple of stops and a couple of turnovers. And Georgia can win this game. Now what LSU has to be able to do to win this game, I think LSU has a little bit of a simpler game plan than what Georgia has to be able to do to win this game. For LSU, you obviously have to be able to stop the run and force Georgia to beat you passing the football. Because the strength of this LSU defense has been their secondary. If you're able to stop the run, you put pressure on Georgia to abandon what they like to do. Georgia is a running football team. They're a smash-mouth football team. They want to run the football. That's what they want to do. Although they can throw the football at times, their identity is running the football. You take away the run, and you force Georgia to play to the strength of your defense, which is your secondary, with a banged-up wide receiving core, without one of the starting wide receivers playing in the first half of this game. If LSU's able to stop the run, they have a good chance of winning this game. Also, LSU has to be able to limit turnovers. That's the number one thing. Go back and watch that Alabama game, that Iron Bowl game between Auburn and Alabama. What killed Alabama was the two crucial turnovers that they had. So LSU has to be able to limit those turnovers, because you don't want, with the way LSU's defense has been playing, you don't want to give Georgia any extra possessions and any chances to run the football, control that time possession. So the team that I'm going with to win this game, this is tough. This is tough. I'm taking LSU to win this game. Here's the reason why. Georgia can win this game, but I trust LSU more. LSU has been more battle-tested and has proven to me that they have what it takes to win games like this. Although this is probably the best defense they faced all season, I trust LSU to win this game more than I trust Georgia, because LSU has played the toughest schedule in all of college football. The 4-0 versus top 10 opponents, regardless of what y'all want to say about Texas, Florida, Auburn, whatnot, they were top 10. And LSU is 4-0 versus the top 10. I trust LSU more than I trust Georgia to win this game. So I think LSU wins this game 23-20. I think this game is going to come down to the wire. If this game does come down to the wire, it favors Georgia. But I'm going to take LSU just because I trust LSU. LSU 4-0 versus the top 10, 12-0 is not a fluke. They beating some of the best teams in college football. I trust LSU more than I trust Georgia to win this game. And that's why I'm rocking with LSU. So let me know who you guys think will win this game down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and college football videos. And thanks for watching.